Fermanagh, Northern Ireland's most western county. But what if a border poll decided it was to be governed from Dublin and not London or Belfast?
If it were to happen, I'm not sure that I would be able to continue to live here. I would feel so strongly about it, I would probably have to move.
This answer from the leader of unionism and the daughter of Fermanagh raised eyebrows. But constitutional uncertainty is nothing new for the unionists she lives among.
Protestants from the border county of Fermanagh hail the success of their candidate in the recent election, called to demonstrate their hostility to the Anglo-Irish agreement. But it's a hollow victory. The election has solved nothing. The government remains committed to the agreement.
This is the frontier of the United Kingdom, where we have to be prepared to stand up to the gunmen and to die if necessary to defend our British heritage.
32 years later, Fermanagh and the rest of us has lived through ceasefires, the Good Friday Agreement, power sharing and the Brexit negotiations, though in some ways things haven't changed. The Anglo-Irish Agreement is but a distant memory, but here in Fermanagh, the prospect of a united Ireland looms as large as ever. Perhaps more so because the unionist position is potentially under threat as never before. The most recent census 7 years ago found that 48% of the Northern Ireland population was Protestant and 45% Catholic. But according to more recent figures from 2016, when you look at those of working age, 44% were Catholic, 40% Protestant and 16% identified as other. The difference is even more marked among school children, 51% of whom were Catholic, 37% Protestant and between 12 and 13% other. Only among the over 60s was there a majority of Protestants, 57% against 35%.
3 years from now, we come to the centenary of the founding of the Northern Ireland state, and of course the state was set up in order to provide Protestants with the security or the guarantee of a permanent inbuilt majority. We will end up, I think, in the ironic situation on the centenary of the state where we actually have a state that has a Catholic majority.
Paul Nolan says that unionists should not be too alarmed because you can't assume that all Catholics will vote for a united Ireland. The South East Fermanagh Foundation helps survivors and victims of the Troubles from across the community. But these unionist members say they don't fear a united Ireland.
We need to recognise it. We need to promote the benefits of living in the United Kingdom. And I think that there are middle class and young nationals out there who, if we do it properly, will come to their senses and see the benefit of it.
You know, it's not something I lie in bed at night thinking about and worry about. It's there, that's a possibility. Of course, a lot of people want it, but I don't fear it, no.
What safeguards will the Irish Republic give to us if we were ever to be a part of it? But I wouldn't fear and certainly don't see it as a possibility, not in my lifetime.
The new leader of Sinn Féin has told this programme she's anxious to allay concerns.
Of course, unionists have to feel at home in that new Ireland. It has to be as much a home for Arlene Foster and for her family as for mine. If not anything short of that, it doesn't represent certainly the kind of new Ireland that I want to be. And the debate around creating a new and united Ireland will be challenging for all of us, because we have to have those discussions, important discussions around identity and the system of governance and inclusion, things I think that will challenge lots of us. But the very things that open up such a massive opportunity. So yes, let's have the discussion. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing taboo. Let's talk about the flag. Let's talk about the anthem. Let's talk about every nuance and every aspect of Irish life, north and south.
This former unionist leader says unionism must recognise the changing demographics.
I know a lot of people who would label themselves as nationalists and yet would not vote for United Ireland in a border poll because they're content to live on this part of the island that is within the United Kingdom. It suits their lifestyle. But we need to make sure that they remain happy, and there are certain things that unsettle them, and chief among those, of course, is Brexit. And if Brexit is not handled well and with Northern Ireland's interests at the top of the agenda, that is a potentially massive problem.
The future of unionism depends entirely upon one thing, and I mean unionism with a small u, depends on winning the support of people who do not regard themselves to be unionists with a capital U. In other words, people who do not identify with the traditional trappings of unionism, people who would give their support for a UK governmental framework. And that's a sizable proportion of Catholics, provided they are not alienated by any form of triumphalism or anything that seems to be a rejection of their cultural identity as nationalists.
But if the border does go, would these Fermanagh unionists follow Arlene Foster in contemplating a life elsewhere?
I was a member of the security forces, a prominent member of the security forces for over 30 years. And in this hypothetical, and it is a hypothetical situation of a united Ireland, I have no doubt, if that were to happen, and I don't think it will, but if it happened, I would come under pressure as a farmer living in a border area of West Fermanagh. There is no doubt that republicanism would seek to drive me from Northern Ireland. There's no doubt about that.
I was born and reared on the border of Fermanagh, and I'll die on the border of Fermanagh.